We're good,
We're
folks.
up. We're live.
All
Everybody's
right.
here. Good to go. I guess I'll get the little check-in real quick. My volume's probably turned all the way up.
Sorry, guys, I'm not in my usual studio. I am somewhere else. I don't
Yeah,
have
we're
my good
good.
microphone as
We're live.
video or anything, so
There we go.
hopefully this is
What's up,
good.
everybody? How's everybody doing tonight?
What's up? What's up,
Good
Frank?
gang's
Open up.
here. Frank's here.
We're praying for your
Oh,
wife.
Frank's
Don't worry.
here. I'm paying. So, what's up? You
How
get
about we
that
get that
shirt.
T-shirt made, and then we
Hey.
can have Jason Emry get your logos on it.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
And then I'll put the logo on the back. Creek and Trails.
Yeah, Creeks and Trails. What's up, buddy?
What's up?
I'm sorry, I'm rude. We got my boy Jason Emry here. One of the
He's a
good guys
jig
out
maker
here.
extraordinaire.
Yes, sir.
All right, he's a veteran, so thank you for your service. And
Appreciate that.
he's a tournament fisherman. He's got the whole thing going for him. So,
Yes, sir.
Well,
so you
I
guys
don't
make
know
sure
about
to
the
go
whole
subscribe
thing.
to him. Well, I mean, come on, man. So you guys go subscribe to his YouTube channel and his follow him on his Instagram channel. So yeah, if you want to plug your channels or your sponsors, just go right
We'll
ahead. I
definitely
mean,
get you linked up
Yeah.
in here.
yeah.
Yep.
It's just Jason Emry Fishing. I just made it simple. It's my name. And if you guys want to come find me, go ahead. Just make sure there's a 9 chilling, hanging out. I'm a veteran, so, you know.
Thank you again.
Yep. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. We really appreciate it. So if you want to do your like 30, and this is Debo's thing, is your 30-second elevator speech, just to tell us a little bit about you and how you got into fishing, maybe, or what your favorite lures are, kind of a little.
Well, we go on for hours in that case, but
Give him the
So-
mic. The mic's all yours.
so my name is Jason Emry, as everybody knows by now. Some of these guys in here already know me. They spoke to me, through Instagram and stuff. So again, thank you guys for having me on. I greatly appreciate it. I started fishing when I was 14, doing tournaments. When I was 16, 17 years old, I ended up winning second place in one of my local tournaments I had up in Illinois. Then I met my wife and joined the military. And I spent 20 years in the service. I was stationed at Little Rock Air Force Base, Mildenhall, England, which was just an hour north of London. I lived in Anchorage, Alaska at Elmendorf. And then I moved to Missouri, where I spent 7 years. And I retired from the military after 20 years of service. I ended up in Dayton, Ohio. There's a better opportunity here for me. Dealt with some tragedies in my life, here recently, but things are looking up. Started fishing in the MLF, in the BFLs,
Nice.
and basically in my channel, I go over being a co-angler. I'm a co-angler right now, full-time co-angler.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on my boat this winter, so I will be able to basically I'm running all brand new wiring from the front to the back. So
Yeah, that's always fun. Yeah, I enjoy that.
yeah, so hopefully this next year I'll be full-time co-angler still, and then once I make the jump, I'll be in the front of the boat and enjoy fishing. And then in my spare time, I talk about fishing, think about fishing. I buy more junk.
Right.
Some people will notice there's a tackle wall behind me. Obviously not here. This is my office, but down in the garage is a tackle wall that I have all kinds of things. And yes, I like Guggen. Yes, I like all the other brands. Some people hate on them, but let me tell you, it's still fun. It's still fun to catch, something on a bandito bug, and then them trying to mimic that, or a trench hog, right? Which is what the new scrounger, I think, from Berkeley is, or scrounge bug, or whatever they call it. So But yeah, I fished the BFLs, Buckeye Division, Mountain Division, as well as the Music City Division down in Tennessee, and Buckeye Division obviously in Ohio. So
That's
Man.
fun. How'd you get into
Awesome.
co-angling? Is my first question because I got interested.
So as a tournament fisherman in the past, I was pretty much the co-angler because I was just get in the back of the boat and shut up, and I was a yes sir, So I did that for so long, and I kept catching fish. So I was like, you know what? In 2020, I caught my very first smallmouth bass, and I was
Okay.
43 years old, and it was only, I think it was like a pound. Wasn't very big, but it was on
I'm
Lake
sure it
Erie.
felt like a 3-pounder.
Oh yeah, and it was a Lake Erie. So I end up catching. I caught another smallmouth, and then I got hooked. And I'm glad to be here in Ohio because I have 4 rivers right here in Dayton that I can go fish
Man,
for smallies. And
that's awesome.
That's fun.
river bullies, as they call it, is rock bass. So yeah, pretty excited about
Cool.
that.
Nice.
And I know Ohio has a very large population of muskie too. Do you ever go after muskie too?
I have not physically gone out for muskie due to. I mean, obviously, I really want to. That's probably this next year when I have my. I'll have my boat hopefully redone, and this will be a first year I'll have it on the lake after it's been completely redone.
Okay.
So I plan on trying to catch some of those fish and fish as much as I can this next year. So
It's
doing a
another
lot of
rabbit
travel.
hole to go down.
What's
That's
that?
awesome.
It's another rabbit hole to go down when you go into.
Oh yeah,
another-
I'm telling you, I get so far in rabbit holes, I end up getting lost in the equilibrium.
I hear that.
I mean,
I hear that. Because where I'm at
Man.
in New York and New Jersey, everyone's always like, "Oh, you don't fish the river or you don't go saltwater fishing." And I'm like, "Look, I'm gonna
enough money
stay
in
in my
bass
lane
fishing.
and just stay with bass fishing because if I do that too, nah, I can't.
There's no way you're ever going to get a boat
Yeah.
then. I mean, it's just going to be spread out everywhere with money and
Exactly. It's gonna be
baits and
nuts.
all sorts of stuff.
yeah, I think the co-angling is something I end up doing. I end up making a video just out of the whim because at the age of 44 years old, who's ever going to pay attention to this guy, right?
I think
And
that's a cool thought.
next thing you know, my subscriber count's going up. I only did it because of my grandchildren. I had open heart surgery last October, a year ago, exactly a year ago. I had open heart surgery, triple bypass
Oh, man.
at 44. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do this for my grandkids. So if something happens to me, then they have something to remember me by.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Well, next thing I know, it blew up. It just one of those things is like, wow, you're a co-angler. There's always the guys that are pros, right? The front of the boats talking about co-angling and not from a co-angler standpoint. I'm from a co-angler standpoint.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I noticed that this year when I went down to Del Hollow Lake down in Tennessee,
Ooh.
and I was out in the middle of nowhere. Literally, it's out in the middle of nowhere. And one of the guys like, "Hey man, are you Jason?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Man, great job on that video." And I was like, "Oh, thanks."
That's
That's
awesome.
And I was like,
Yeah.
"Well, that's weird." Like, like Hank Bass Geek.
Mhm.
I go down to Tennessee, East Tennessee. I've been down there, and I've been to the Columbus, Ohio Expo, and
Oh, man.
talking with Hank, everybody's like, "Whoa, that's like he's like a celebrity," and I'm like, "Well, I've had a few here and there in my lifetime."
That's
Nice.
awesome. That's really cool. So did you go to like the expo in East Tennessee with him as well?
I went down there. I saw him. I went down
Okay.
there because it's a big event,
Mhm.
and for me, it's a 6-hour drive, and
Oh,
I'm
wow.
down at Knoxville, so
That's a little dry.
Yeah.
it's not too bad. And I went down there and I saw Hank, and I was like, "Man, it's cool. I learned a lot from you." He fishes those mountain lakes though,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah, those
totally
big, deep
different than we
ones.
do in the lowlands here in
Yeah.
Ohio. So, I mean, you got to take with a grain of salt. Like I tell people, here's what real fishing is. You're not going to catch them every single time. They
Yep.
spoil you rotten on some of these channels. I'm going to give it to you straight. Everything is not about catching fish.
Yep.
It's about learning and understanding what the fish are trying to do and then adjust on the
Yes.
fly.
The fly. Yes,
what it
sir.
is. So,
Yes, sir.
You can come out there with certain baits and they can either work for you or they can maybe not work for you. But a lot of the time they're not going to work for you because you can think that this bait's going to work because of these conditions, because you've had success in the past. But that doesn't always mean you can have success in the future with it because those bass are always changing.
That's it.
right. Yeah. Jigs is a one thing and it's a good lead in. So anyway,
You're pro at this.
jigs is one of those things that you can use year round. But the thing is, at times they may not be hitting a jig, so you may have to change it up to a swim jig, right? Because jigs you want to drag is usually you're mimicking the feeders, the bottom feeders. Up in Lake Erie, we have the gobies, so you're trying to mimic those for those smallmouth, and a lot of times the crawls, right? That's mainly what we try to mimic on those. So then I started doing my own baits, and I was like, hey, it'd be cool if I just do my own baits. And sure enough, I started doing them, and then started making little swim jigs like this here. This one's got
those are so awesome.
Yeah, I know you guys got some. I sent some to you. I sent some to a bunch of other people, plus the Ned rigs I make.
Oh yeah,
But this
I
one
got the
here
Mac
is
ones.
You got the solo, buddy.
right there is it's a crawl pattern. It's called a bruise crawl, and it's got the swim jig head, and then it's kind of like the close to the Missouri crawl style.
Oh yeah.
Here, and then it's got the big. This is a 4/0 hook
Straight shank
with a straight shank hook with a little bait keeper there. So that one's always good to have. I mean, this would be great. Unfortunately, there's no weed guard, but I do make some like this one here. This is a bluegill pattern. It's got a June bug head. I know it's hard to see.
I love June bug.
Ooh, yeah,
So it's got a June bug head.
I see it.
Where's Debo?
And then it's got it's got the
that's cool.
Got the skirt, looks like the bluegill, and then it's got the weed guard. And this here is a 4/0 hook. It's a actual 4/0 Crowcar hook, or excuse me, Gamakatsu hook. This is the 4/0 hooks that I get.
Okay, man.
So then I put them inside my mold, and I actually pour them, and I even when I cut the sprues off here, because the sprue is on top here, when I cut that off, I actually file it down, and I clean it all up so it's all smooth, and then I'll heat them up, dip them, bake them, and I actually seal them with sealant. So the ones you guys got have sealant on there. I just started doing that. To help protect them from chipping and everything.
Okay.
And I also protect the eye so the paint doesn't get in the eye. So it's just a clean hook. And then very sharp hook. Gamakatsu makes some very sharp hooks. And then the weed guard is very soft. And of course it's got your bait keeper already molded in. So
I had an idea for a jig, and I know this might be off topic at the moment, but you know how Zeman has their cross-eyes chatterbait with the two little weed guards that kind of stick out like that?
Yeah, the Y.
Yeah, the wires. Yep. I thought you might be able to put 2 or 4 wires inside your mold. You can clamp them down there and made pretty much the same wires, the same like stiffness, and you can just put them in your mold and put them a little ways into the actual cavity where the jig head would sit once you pour it. Then those wires would be encapsulated in the jig head, and then you can just bend them to place. Would that
so
be
the Archie style,
because you can bend it out a little bit more.
Yeah, that Archie style head, you can either put the emptiness or the peg in there to keep it empty, so you can put the weed guard, or you can put the
Is there a
Y
rivet?
style directly in, and the mold fits around it.
Okay, gotcha.
Keeps it from going all the way in. You may have to trim it up a little bit, but
So if you have a swim jig, you could do the same thing, right? You could just stick the wires in there and just
yeah,
crank the
the
mold shut.
swim jig, I use a poison tail, so it's a different style mold. So Do It Molds
Okay.
is the molds I use. One
Mhm.
is one's a poison tail. That's what gives you the eyeballs and stuff. Like right here, this
Mhm.
one here.
Oh yeah.
This one here is a white with the silver eyes. Anyway,
Okay.
this is a poison tail mold, and then
Okay.
this is an Archie style mold. Is the jig?
Oh, question.
Yeah.
Did you get the grass jig molds?
I did not.
Oh, okay.
That's
Those are
that's
cool.
that's on my Christmas list. But this year we're going. The wife
Let
and
me know
I are
when you get
celebrating
those.
our 25th anniversary. We're going to St. Lucia. So
Oh, nice.
Oh man, congratulations.
after that, I'll be getting some more jigs.
Yeah.
Big
Take care of
molds.
that first. Take care
Oh,
of
yeah.
that first.
Oh yeah. But then I mean, it starts off just a regular hook like this one here, the Gamakatsu hook,
Mhm.
right? And same thing with the straight shank hooks, and then pour the lead, and you got the mold here. So this is the unpainted version that I got, and it's that one. This is a trocard hook.
That's that weird hook. I've
It's
never
a
seen
swim
this
bait
before.
hook.
Really?
When you were asking about it that one time, you're like,
Yeah.
"What is this hook?" It's an actual swim bait hook. The degrees on the head from the angle
It
is
just
perfect
changed it.
to fit in the mold.
Huh.
So all I do is
those
add
hooks-
I add the eyes and paint it and dip it and everything else, and it comes out to be
Okay.
like this. It's this kind of similar hook style, and see it doesn't change any form.
And that bend kind of looks like it goes back a little further and then comes
Yes.
to a point, and I think that
So,
would hook
I'm-
the fish better in there.
The problem
Hold
is
it.
I tinker a lot, and I want to do everything. So like, none of my molds have where you can put the bait keepers. So what I do is I force them in there. So I figure out, I solder them, I glue them, I do whatever I can to keep them in there. So when I do pour the lead around it, it holds it, and then you have a bait keeper with the swim jig or whatever to make it easier for you.
Yeah.
So you're not just, it's not out there flopping around, as you're reeling it in or whatever. So
But the thing is with your jigs is that some of them don't have the keepers on them, which is perfect for Elastec baits. It's absolutely made. They stay on there really, really well.
Yeah.
That's what I was like super excited about, because I was like, yes, these are going to work perfect for Z-Man plastics.
Yep.
yeah, see, like this one here, it's got a
Those are
straight
pain
keeper.
for the
Right.
those are right.
Got the keeper right back here, the keeper hook. There you go.
Yeah.
See it? So it's got the eyeball, and it's got the. Now this right here is a keeper to, per se, the secret collar, Jermaine's favorite collar here.
Yes, sir.
See, I put a little orange in the bottom.
Yeah, I was
too.
going to say, I like that.
So
Those are little
this
tweaks
one-
you can make for yourself when you're making them.
Yeah. So what I did was I just took it and I put some orange there, and put the green pumpkin there. I have white. Plus I think you got a pearl one.
Yes.
The pearl accent is really nice. It's really cool looking. But I end up doing the same thing, and it's got the straight shank hook. This one has a single hook or bait keeper. And it's just small enough to catch it, nothing too big. But there's some other things that's going on in here that I'm not going to show, because it's my own secret little thing. But here's one with the double keeper that I painted just recently.
Okay.
I haven't had a chance to put the skirt on there and tie it up or anything. And basically, this is a watermelon red flake. So with just the silver eyes. Then I also got some that have glow in the dark eyes.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
So I put that with the. I got a chartreuse style one that I do. I thought I pulled that one up, but I guess I didn't. And then,
How are you putting the paint on these? Because you gave me one that was white on the bottom, and then it was kind of like a silvery color on the top. Are you
Yeah,
using like
some
an
of these
airbrush to
paint
put these on,
colors.
or are you using like
No.
powder coat?
powder coat.
How are you doing this? Okay. So how
How
do
am I
you do
doing
that?
it?
I've seen people dip it and they heat it up and then they dip it. But how do you do it on one side? I was confused about that.
How am I getting that orange and that green pumpkin and everything
Yeah.
else?
Yeah.
You take a paintbrush, dip it in there, and it sticks to the paintbrush, and you just tap it like this, and it flakes down on there with it's hot, and it
Okay.
melts, and it makes it look like that
Okay.
Okay.
before you bake it.
Well, that's
And then
what I
obviously
thought.
when you're done, you bake it. You don't
Yeah.
put the eyes on it. You bake it first, and what that does is it gives it a hard coat. Usually I bake it for about 15 minutes, depending on how it is. It's about 15 minutes, and then once I take that out, I put the eyes on there,
Mhm.
and then I seal it with some seal coat. Here's one of them that I did that you'll probably like.
Ooh, I like that.
See how I
most.
got the black and the white?
Yeah, and it's got
And
a little bit
those
of blue
are-
on the bottom, doesn't it?
It's just straight white. And then if you can look, it's like glow in the dark eyes. It's very hard to see.
Yeah. Oh,
But
man.
yeah. And then of course it opens up if you want to add some things to it. But yeah, it's got a straight chain hook and a little keeper there. And then obviously, whenever here is a Arky style head.
Okay. Yeah.
This is a 1/2 ounce Arky style head. It goes from that Gamakatsu hook, 5/0, 3/0, whatever. And then it curves up. And then right here, like this is the pin that goes in there to hold that. Now that's where you can put the Y wires, and it will fill in. So this just leaves a gap so I can put the Wii guard in.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll heat this up. I'll dip it. Jermaine's got some jigs that are like this, but they're just like that green pumpkin shad that I made, which is nice because then you can skip it. You can do whatever you want to with it. This is what I caught my fish on down in Ohio River. So flipping it. And then here's a smoke color.
Ooh, yes, I like that.
Smoke color head. And then obviously some other size green pumpkin here. It's partially done.
So question for you.
Yes.
What's your favorite color jig? Or what's your you're going out,
you
don't know water conditions. You got 2 colors to bring with you. Go.
Depends.
On.
So it depends on the forage, and this is where the homework comes into play.
Okay.
Anytime I go to a body of water, I'm always doing like Navonics or something like that nature to find out the depth and where things are at, as well as what kind of forage they have in the lakes. If it's a primary sunfish, brim, some southerners like brim. I'm lived in Georgia for a little while, understand the name brim. So when they say brim, I know what it is. It's a bluegill.
Yeah.
Right. Any type of bluegill. Doesn't matter. Pumpkin seed, whatever you name it. It's a brim. So brim are basically I will go some type of this color jig, Arky style, usually about a 3/8. It's a pretty all around. It depends on how deep it is. Sometimes I'll do a half if I'm going to get it down. That with a crawl trailer, and then a swim bait, usually with some type of straight tail, like the juggle. I love the juggle from 6 Cents.
Yeah, it's great.
I am in love with that thing. That thing is amazing. I end up buying a bunch of them.
I have some in my cart right now. I'm ready to get some. Everybody's talking about it.
They're
Stick
really
that
good.
on the back of that, and it looks perfect like a bluegill swimming.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you can take the exact same thing and use it in the shad. You can use in the juggle, the shad colors or the minnow colors. But usually I try to stick with some type of bluegill and or minnow shiner color because that's everywhere. Because when you go fishing normally, let's just say outside of tournaments, you go fishing normally, you're taking minnows and a bobber. and you catch crappie and bass.
Yeah.
So what are you going to fish with? I'm going to fish with the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I like your worm.
Go-to colors for me. Some sort of shiner or shad kind of color, and then a black and blue. Those are
what you got there, Brandon?
I jumped on the slobber knocker. I jumped on the slobber knocker train here, so I just picked up one of these slobber knockers just to try out. Everybody's been talking about it, so I had to try it. So we'll see how good the Maxent works out.
I think it's nice.
I think that slobber knocker would be great. But the problem is that I haven't caught anything on a chatterbait. So I invested in jackhammers. I invested in thunder crickets. I invested in some, they call them chatter bugs from 9K Elite Lures, one of my sponsors or partnerships that I have. There's no sponsors. I don't get paid to be out on the water. Everything I buy is I pay. But I absolutely love, like they call it the chatterbug, and throwing something like that to get the response or get the reaction of the fish is always good to have. Yeah, to catch one, I'm still putting it in my hand and I'll still fish it, just like the chop shot.
That too. With when you are retrieving your chatterbait, do you pump your reel 1, 2, 3, slow down 1, 2, 3?
Just give it one little pop in it.
Well,
try that.
It depends.
React to that.
I have done it. I've done all the different twitches and up, down, left, right. Even tried to burn it. Which you ever tried to burn a chatterbait? Man, your arm would be like tired because it's just
That's where the thunder cricket comes into play. You sand down the edge just a little bit, makes it a little bit less.
Yeah. Now something I do on those blades like the Willow Vibe. I'll even do the same thing with my straight blades. The Willow Vibe straight. What I'll do is I'll take a pair of pliers up to the nut and bend it back a little bit. So you get that little, and what that does is it actually starts the chatter quicker. So a lot of times I'll take that, the Queen tackle switchblade. I'll take that with me, put it in my, and I'll bend it just like that, just over so slightly, because otherwise you'll burn it out. It'll overflow, so you won't be able to get that reaction or that movement. So
nice. Yeah, I love bait mods. I love just messing with them, cutting and stuff, drilling holes in baits. That's my favorite thing to do. So
it started my adventures. I actually started doing Ned rigs, and this is just a small Ned rig, and I'm like, because I fish a lot with streams, and rivers around here, and they're smallies, and you're gonna use the TRD. Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You're gonna use a turd, right? But every time I'm on there, I started out doing this, and then I started doing collars and started getting them. And what Brandon has there is those Trocar 5/0 hooks. And then Jermaine's got, he's got some, they're actually number ones, 1/0 and 2/0 hooks styles. Yeah, those Trocar hooks are huge.
This one's my favorite to put that out.
These are basically shaky heads now. I think that's what you consider them.
Here's what I got.
Nothing wrong with
Super cool colors to go
with the smoke. Yeah, this one's actually not even. This one's not even painted yet.
That looks just perfect.
On this one. I didn't even notice that until I just pulled it out.
What, the hook keeper?
Yeah, look at that.
You'll never find those. No other company has the EWG with the bait keeper on there, and I actually started doing that my own because I got tired of losing baits, and I got tired of carrying super glue.
I was going to say something about the super glue, but there it is.
You won't have to in the.
That's sick.
That's a June bug color.
Yeah,
ooh, I love that.
like that.
I think my favorite one you said as far as colors go is this green. It's like this weird iridescent black.
Even though honestly,
that's called a watermelon pepper.
Okay. Yeah.
And when you look at it, if you look at it if you actually look at it in the can, it doesn't look like that. You're just like, how does it turn that? Just like the black and blue doesn't look like that, or the smoke or anything like that. So.
That's pretty cool. So have you ever messed with using these colors in like these powder paints? Are these what is like what are they made of? Like is it like I know like certain like there's airbrush paints, there's water based, there's solvent based. What are these? These I know they're powder, but is there like a base that they use and then add the pigment to them, or is it all just the pigment? Because I was wondering about using those and mixing them with airbrush medium to use it in airbrush. Because there's some cool colors that I've never seen in airbrush paint.
Yeah, I don't know on those. I'm not sure. You would have to look up. It's the ProTech is all it is.
Okay.
So
cool.
It's ProTech and it's powders. And like I said, like you were saying, is you heat it up, and I just rotate it and then dip it. Excuse me, dip it, shake it off, heat it up again, and then it comes out those colors. Unless you do like a tricolor, like the green pumpkin, like this color here. You know, you do that color, and then you got to use a depending on which brush you use. You can use a thicker or whiter brush, gives you a better, cleaner, more surface area, or you can use a smaller one and dab it like I do on the bottom of it. But all this whole time it's hot, so
that's hard to control everything.
Exactly. So when you heat up if you overheat the metal, it will come out boily, like a really messed up color, especially green pumpkin. It's really bad. Some people use the bubble maker dills or whatever it is, like the air compressor things. I can't remember what it's. They use those. I tried that, and I was like, "This is garbage." I rather just go back to the.
Keep it old school. Being broke, don't fix it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten? Here's a question. Okay, so this is something I've never seen anyone really do to the extent that I want them to do. That this is not on the market. I want a jig. All right, so let's just take this. This is a pitching jig. Okay, I want one that weighs 2 ounces, but I want the skirt to match the size. So I want the skirt to be like down here somewhere, and I want it to come out a lot. Like I want this thing to be like I want the whole profile to be massive. I want something. The jig had 2 ounces. I want the skirt absolutely massive.
You want a 3-inch skirt on a jig?
Something giant, like
give me 1 second. I'll go down and I'll show you a jig that I end up getting from Fitzgerald Fishing.
Okay.
And you're probably going to see it. Just give me like 2 minutes. I'll run downstairs real quick.
I want it to be like the profile would be like just that big right there. Like I want a 6-inch jig.
No, it's, I mean, you can get those, you can get those
to match it. Like
spinnerbait skirts. Yeah, you can get those spinnerbait skirts and get those skirts that have the extend, like the, what is it called? War Eagles.
The tab.
The War Eagles, you know how they got the extension in the middle, or the KVD, right? Got to be KVD, right? So anyway, you have those, and they got the long extended skirt. That's something that you're kind of talking about, but you want it full. Let me run down real quick. I'll be right back.
I want it like at a 12-aught hook, 12-aught, 13-aught, something massive.
Yeah, like Michael said, it'd be a mop jig skirt.
Yeah,
let me run down and grab that one real quick. I'll be right back.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
When I'm talking like big jig, I'm talking bigger than a mop jig, maybe 2 or 3 times the size.
5-inch jig.
6-inch jig.
6-inch
I want
jig.
something mega massive.
You're gonna need an extra heavy rod for this thing.
I have an extra heavy, extra fast 7/8 rod.
7,
But
8.
I want it so on a swim jig. So you have your swim baits, you have your wake baits, you have your crankdowns, your big ones. They don't make mega swim jigs, and jigs in general get bites, bigger bites. Well, think of a jig that's even bigger than a regular jig. It's never been done before.
You're a nut.
I mean,
You're a nut.
I've never
Love giant baits. Everything you could do to get a bigger bait, you're
I do.
Never wrong with it as long as you're catching them. Saltwater jig, Daniel says. Where's Randy?
I'm not sure if they make one yet.
Somebody get Randy in here. Somebody send a message. Pop in real quick. We need you for a few minutes.
Yeah. I can't wait to have him on the stream.
Right.
So guys, if you don't know, we're having Randy from Devo's Fishing. We're having him on either 9th or the 16th of November to talk jigs and baits, whatever. So, okay, yeah, that's pretty similar.
See how big that is?
Jeez.
See how big the wires are? This is like an ounce and a 3/4.
Yeah,
Woo!
that's a
huge.
good size.
Look at that.
That scares me.
It's a gaff, dude. It's a gaff of a hook.
That's crazy.
That's what I'm talking about right there, but bigger.
What do you put? You have to put like a lizard on that. You can't even put like a.
I was actually going to take 550 cord and throw this out there and see if I can catch something or snag something because it's pretty much what it's good for.
So magnet fishing, it's mega jig fishing for junk in the bottom.
I mean, I guess you could technically punch with that.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Oh, you can punch somebody out with that. I mean, that's pretty much all I'm gonna be. I don't have a rod that's big enough for that thing.
Right.
I mean, I guess I throw some swim baits, but they ain't that big. That's called front loading like no other.
It's a tank right there.
Did you hear Jermaine and I our little conversation while you were gone? I didn't know if you had wireless headphones or whatever, but I was talking 6-inch profile, probably big old giant 2-ounce head, 12-aught hook, but a swim jig because bass know a giant crawfish is just going to mess them up. I mean, those big claws on them, it's going to mess them up. Some bass will go for them, but I mean, it's going to mess them up pretty bad sometimes. So I'm thinking big giant because no one's ever made a mega swim jig for some reason. There's big baits, there's big swim baits, but there's no mega jigs, and jigs in general get bigger than average bites.
Brendan's down south, so he has the luxury of being around double digits and
with swim jigs.
Yeah.
Why we have these little. I'll use this being.
Yep. So I learned something.
Big fish.
That's why I
3 pounds.
That bass don't grow.
That's why I asked for these.
Bass don't grow when the water temperature gets cold to a certain degree, and that's why the bass in New York and in the northern takes longer to get bigger. I didn't know that.
So why is it the smallmouth are so much bigger?
See, but that's what I'm saying. I didn't understand that, but apparently largemouth stopped.
Just DNA, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Well, smallmouth love to have. They thrive in the cold. They'll get up and they'll move around, and they're very aggressive and they eat anything and everything. It's almost like that. That kid that just hardly ever eats, and then you put some food in front of them, then they never stop eating. Yeah. That's a smallmouth.
Yeah.
It literally is a smallmouth. Largemouth, though. Now I don't know about spots. I'm not too familiar with spots, but I know that largemouth, they tend to, they always have that degree temperature, for spawn and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
The thing is any fish will eat no matter what time of year. It's just a matter of what bait you present in front of them.
True.
And how you present it.
Yep. Because I've used a Zoom fluke. That is my favorite thing to use in the whole wide world.
I love it.
In January in Arkansas at a pond on base. And my oldest boy was, I think he was 3 or 4 maybe. And
Mm-hmm.
but anyway, he was just there and threw it out and just let it sit there, and he was holding on to it. And all of a sudden, the line starts taking off. I set the hook, and this big old fish just come out of the and just split. And I was like, oh my God, it was like huge. But yet, and it was just a fluke. Get it? Fluke. Yeah. It was just it was just one of those flukes that was sitting on bottom, and that's where you looked. And then when you start, you can go down this rabbit hole, and I hate that because what I try to do is keep it simple. I live by the words of KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
I love it.
And if you can't keep it simple, I don't want to know. I used to work on airplanes. That's what I used to do in the military, and I want to keep it simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I like to know everything about like why my bait is working. That's kind of I want to know it all. That's what I want. But there's no
I will transition
everything for fishing.
Keeping it simple. So with you being a jig maker and you can make your own colors at will, I imagine you probably have every color under the book.
No.
Okay, so there you go.
The color, that's dead. That's being
honest.
honest.
Where I'm going. So do you tend to stay with your staple colors, or do you venture out, being that you can do what you do and say, okay, I'm going to make a new color, or I'm going to, or do you just say, I'm going to make my green pumpkin with a little variant, but it's still going to be essentially a green pumpkin?
You kind of broke me out of that shell, and I'll tell you why. And that's good. And I'm glad that people actually they challenge me, right? And I love a good challenge. I don't.
Oh yeah.
You tell me, say you said, hey, Jason, make a green pumpkin shad, and I go, what the heck's a green pumpkin shad? To be honest with you, I didn't even know what it was.
Nice.
And I went looking, and yes, the chatterbait has it, but it's on the
it's only in the jackhammer.
It's only in the jackhammer, but it's only in the stuff blade. That's it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And then another one is the what's the Berkeley one again? Slobber knocker.
Slobber knocker.
Right.
Yeah, they got it.
So the slobber knocker has it, and I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. I mean, that's easy to make. So what I did was, this was the first one I tied because I didn't want to destroy yours. I destroyed mine. I'm okay. But when I'm giving it out to people, quality, right? I'm very attention detail oriented, and that must be the military thing in me. I want it done. I want the jig heads to be smooth. I want them to color to be right. If they're not right, I'll remake them. And that's something that it can take me. I've got it down to a science where I think I made both of your guys' jigs in like less than 2 days.
Oh man!
And that includes painting them, baking them, dipping them, everything.
That's a lot. Bro.
But the thing is it got to the point of some of them were no good. I threw them in the I don't care pile, and I'll try them out. Some of them they're just not to my liking, and I reject them. I'm on my own QA. So, but anyway, like I said, that put me out of my comfort zone. I tried it, and I was like, "Oh, that's it. That's all he's got to do." So what I did was I took a bunch of skirts that I had, and I just pulled a bunch of it out. And so I just started. Basically, I kind of molded this one,
pieced it together.
Yep.
That's awesome.
And each time I would, I'm hand tying these with the yarn, and I'm making sure that they're in the right place in the right direction, and both sides have it almost equally. I mean, you can't get them perfect. I'm not a machine, but every single one of them is close to being. And everything I make is with my own 2 hands. There's no machines involved. And because I set out my garage, I jam out to my music, and I'll, my rock and roll,
get in the zone,
everything, and then I just go to town, and then I'm like, oh, that looks cool. Let's try that. And so to go back to your question is, I do trust what I believe in, but at the same time, being outside your comfort zone, will actually open up a lot more doors and give me a better opportunity to catch fish. All the fish they may look at this jig right here from 6 cents. It's a finesse jig. But then I throw this. They've never seen that.
Mm-hmm.
And they may hit this more than this one.
Yeah.
But this
I think
is
that without the weed guard makes it more natural too.
Yeah.
There's no like things sticking out of it. I think it looks more natural.
So this is a production mold. This is production. This is boom, 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 boom. Knock these out. You can get them 6 cents all day long. This you can't get from 6 cents all day long because I'm the only one that makes it.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm not saying I'm the only one that makes jigs.
Never seen.
There's only certain people that only make jigs, but this is the only one I make. And some of those, like you guys have, those are the only ones that you guys don't have. There's no one else that has the same ones as you guys got. There's always different variances of everything, especially when it comes from a homegrown area or, small business, as they always say. I'm not a business.
That's the first thing I said to my girl when I was opening the pack, and I'm sitting there like a kid in a candy shop. Yo, babe, no one else has these. You get it? No one else has this. I was so excited. Thank you again, too, man.
Yeah, no worries.
They're awesome.
I mean, you guys, I gave, so I started out with the Ned rigs. That went to Burley Fishing and Paul. Jeff and Paul, awesome guys.
I saw that.
Yeah.
So they put it on their YouTube channel. Next thing I know, I'm getting phone calls from Minnesota saying, "Hey, can I have some jigs or some Ned rigs?" I'm like, "Sure." Well, then I sent some down to Alex Rudd. Alex Rudd freaking loved them. So what he ended up doing, getting the mold so he can make his own.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one, and my mold is not like your ordinary do it mold. Mine is actually modified Ned rig mold, so I can do those 5/0 hooks or 6/0 or 2/0 or whatever.
Yeah.
And these trocar hooks is what exactly. Exactly. And all I do is I take the trocar hook right here, I take that off and I put it down there, and then I add a old pieces of a hook, and then that creates the new loop. And then when I pour the lead in, it seals everything up. So again, you have some people have them, but they don't have the same colors, or they don't have the same kind. You can look at two different watermelon pepper, and they'd be two different colors in your hand, and they're right next to each other. And you're like, well,
there's still watermelon pepper, but it's different.
Yeah. One's a darker color, and that could be from the difference between, the heat or the way it baked or the way it covered, or, so it's always unique.
I'm sure plays a big factor in that too. So Frank Duchette also had a question. So Frank at 10:07.
Oh, I saw that. I'm sorry. I meant to say that. We get to chat. And
I'm sure the questions
what you got?
Ready.
What time was it again?
10:07.
10. Okay.
It's ways up. So.
There we go. Question for Jason. There we go.
So what technique do you use to fish behind a boater that's pitching and flipping grass, or reeds with a trolling motor on high?
So I use dynamite. I find that to be easier than having to use any type of. No, I'm just joking. Great question. Actually, I get this all the time. I've been in tournaments that I have the boater where he's sitting on, it's 0 to 100, and he's on 150. It seems like he's got it like the big motor on, and we're trolling. Of course, he's using a square bill, and he's going crazy. Or if he's flipping, I've seen that. So what I do is I follow his cadence. So what happens is you'll find there's guys that have cadences when they're fishing.
Okay.
And so he's throwing at a 45-degree angle up front, and it's saying, let's say I fish right behind him so it's just like, it's like parallel like this. Mm-hmm. and we're just doom, 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 doom.
You're
So
covering
when
that
he's casting, I'm not casting, I'm casting in front of him basically, because the way the boat's moving, you're casting in front of his cast, just like this.
Okay.
So you would, a lot of times, if he's pitching and flipping, I'm running the square bill. I never run while he's running, or he or she is running, because there's a lot of females now that are on the BFLs that are boaters. So, which I think is cool. I think it's freaking awesome.
I love that.
I've never seen one on like a bigger tournament series, so that's kind of strange. I think
and seeing that's
good though.
And I think it's you know, and I met her. She's awesome. I met a few females out on tour, out in the boats. I actually film them or whatever, and they think it's cool, and then we'll get to Facebook messaging or whatever. But anyway, if he's pitching or flipping, specifically, it's going to be a soft plastic, depending on the weight. I usually ask him what weight he's using, he or she's using, because the thing is if I want to pitch and flip grass, I'm throwing the outside edges. I'm not throwing in the grass. I'm throwing the outside edges, and I'm also looking percentages wise. If there's a little twig here and then there's a line like right through here, I'm throwing at that twig, not the line. Fish are going to hold up to against the twig or else something. But usually if I can get away with throwing a square bill or a spinner bait or a chatter bait or something else, I'll try to get a reaction strike, and I try to parallel that grass or those reeds. I don't try to go inside it, because if the person, now there is a grass lake here in Ohio, and it literally, the whole thing is grass. It literally, you can't even run a motor through it because it's just grass.
Frog it.
It's very hard to do that whenever it's in the middle of the lake. Because a lot of times they're not going to be right up on that.
Yeah.
They're going to be in those random spots. You're going to look, and it's going to have 1, 2, 3, and it could be right here's a twig, and that twig is where that's going to be. You can throw in all those spots. That twig's going to hold one. Or you look for the anomalies.
Speed one comes into play.
Right. You look for those anomalies, and a lot of times I don't, maybe this is bad on my part, but I don't fish those. If he's got it on 110, I'm not fishing that much. I'm picking and choosing when I fish at.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because if it's to that point, we're probably blowing out the whole area. So.
Yeah.
I agree. I
don't really pay attention to any of the.
Yeah, she's actually friends with one of the guys I know around here, and I love watching her videos. There was one video in particular where, like, I don't really. It's just not good sportsmanship. Just in general, don't matter boy, girl, whatever. But you could tell they were throwing her some shade because she's a female, and they were like, "Oh, how'd you do? We ain't catch nothing." And they opened their mouths first. And she was like, "Oh, I caught 2 5-pounders," and you saw that, and she zoomed in on it, and you saw the dude like he deflated. It's like,
so.
Oh, have you? He's a hammer.
Hey, there's somebody down there by your neck of the woods there, Brandon. That's what is it? 706 or something like that, fishing or something like that. What's her name?
I'm not sure.
Anyway, she caught over a 10-pounder.
Oh, yeah.
In a lake that was down there in Georgia.
Was that on the Monster Bass channel?
Yes. Yeah, but I also seen it on her channel because I've subscribed. Okay. I love see, again, I talk about fishing, I watch fishing, I do everything fishing. And when I'm driving down the road, it could be like 32 degrees, and I'm looking over and go, man, there's some fish in there. Well, there's fish.
You know there's fish in there. You can get them to bite if you just do it. You know.
Yeah. But yeah, it's cool to see that that the sport has really accepted a lot of females into the sport.
And because it's hard for them, though. I mean, people like that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
People all the time are going to talk smack. I tell you right now, there's a bunch of people that beat my PB in a heartbeat. Mine's only 4 pound, 1 ounce, largemouth.
Really?
And that was caught in Missouri. in 16. So
Oh, wow.
2016.
That's crazy.
Man, you come down here. We'll
So you know what? I caught
we'll
2 fish
double it.
this
We'll
year.
double it.
I caught 2 fish this year, same day, bigger than your PB. And I'm not bragging.
I know.
I'm just saying.
I know.
I,
And the thing,
you
it's
come
just,
down
you
here.
know, yeah,
I
it's
will
just a place. It's just, you know, where you're at a lot too, you know.
exactly.
You know, and I'm not throwing shade or nothing, but the guys down in Florida, you know, you're
Oh,
in the
yeah.
right spot.
no,
You're in the right
if you
spot.
also look at the Guggen squad, like take them for instance, and I
Yeah.
got no shade against the Guggen squad. I actually got a buddy of mine that lives up near Cleveland. He's part of the Guggen squad. He knows all the guys. Like he's sponsored by him and all this other stuff. Great guy. I know him just from YouTube. Weird, I know, but so he if you ever noticed that their channels blew up, and where are they fishing at? Florida, Alabama,
Yep.
and the
Texas.
South.
Yep.
In the South, right?
That's what you got.
You never see anybody in the North. Well, you see Ben Nowak.
You see some people.
You see
but even
Tyler
then, he
Bergman.
doesn't have the
Specifically
same, like,
for smallmouth though.
he doesn't
Not
have the
for
same
largemouth.
clout that they have. He doesn't like I love me some Ben. He's a very in-depth person, you know,
He's
but
awesome.
he's great. But he just, like you said, I don't think he can get the same clout as, like,
Yep.
I think even didn't Milliken just move to Florida because
No, he moved to Texas.
he moved to
From
Texas.
Nebraska.
Yeah, exactly. He was like, I'm starting to take off. I think he moved down there with like 30,000 subscribers, and look at him now.
Well, and the thing is if I go down there and I fish and I'm like, oh, that's a 6-pounder, and it end up being an 8-pounder, and I'm lucky enough to catch a 3-pounder, and I'm excited, you know.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm like over here hooting and hollering and dancing on my boat.
Yep. So let me ask
Catching
this.
fish is
This
fun in
is
general.
a good segue here. That's the word for it. Private water fishing.
Oh yeah.
How do you feel? And I just like, and I once again, no shade. I would love to do it. If I could do it, if I had the money right now and I could go down there and book a couple days for me and Brendan, I'd be like, yo, Brendan, pull up, let's do it. Grab batteries, mounts, whatever. Let's film it all. Let's set it up.
I'll bring the boat.
How do you feel about these guys? And a lot of guys are doing it now, and they're very open about it. I think it's great community. I think it's a great project. I think it's amazing. But it's like these guys are going down there and they just go to a private lake and they just fish it for 2-3 days and then make a YouTube channel or make, you know, it's kind of,
you talking about private water fishing?
Yeah. How do you, or just more like I feel like more or less
I'll
like
be going to one of those
content
places.
from it. How do you feel about the content from it? Because
I don't mind it.
It's fishing.
I don't mind it. It's fishing, right? But I think it depends on who it is. If there's a guy that's on there and he's not talking and all you see is him throwing and you hear no conversation between the guys you're with, it's boring, right? Nobody's going to watch that.
Yeah.
You get in a conversation. I don't care if you catch a little dink, right? Debo dink, you know? Shout out to Debo, right? You catch a Debo dink and you're talking to, you know, we're talking amongst each other and we're getting some weird conversations. You know how it is. You're getting some weird conversations. You go down rabbit holes you didn't even think existed, right? So you get down in those rabbit holes, and I think that's better content than it is catching a fish. Now, every now and then you're like, okay, you work together as a team. What I always tell my boater is we're here together as a team. We'll work together as a team. We're here to try to win. If we're here to catch something, I'm going to ask you questions. You ask me questions. Mm-hmm. So, like if there's a fish that hits because the bait just stopped, you just stop a spinnerbait and let it fall. And on the fall at approximately, 2 or 3 seconds, the fish takes off with it. What do? You set the hook. Well, that's information that you're going to need to get those fish to bite. If you're burning a spinnerbait, Brandon's over here throwing a shaky head, and I'm throwing a spinnerbait and killing it like a shaky head. I'm combining basically the two items and almost making it like a spinnerbait jig kind of deal. Yeah. And I'm catching fish. I'm going to relay that information to you.
They want it fast.
I think it's good information to pass along with people. And as I said, I built my channel to help other people say, hey, you can go fishing in a BFL. Brandon, if you want to go fishing, anybody over the age of 16 can go and fish it. It's $100 a tournament. It's not that expensive.
It's not that crazy.
Now I do caveat that with if you want time to go on the water, you got to make sure you have gas money, things like that.
Yeah, practice and all
that. And this is coming from the horse's mouth. If I ever go out on a tournament, the minimum I give a boater is $40. And they're like, $40, wow. It starts at 40. I don't give it to him right away, and there's a reason why. Because if he backboats me, if he keeps me nowhere near the fish, and he is quiet and doesn't want to do anything and doesn't want to talk and just wants to stay to himself and wants to be a total jerk, which I do have a video out on that one on my channel. There was a jerk my first tournament this year.
Yeah, that sucks.
I end up not even participating. I said, I'm not going to be talked to like a little kid. I'm 44 years old. You don't talk to me.
It doesn't go nowhere with nobody, but
yeah.
So anyway,
just be courteous and
and I begin at 40 if you can afford it. Now, I'm not saying if you're a 16, 17-year-old kid or 18-year-old kid, a lot of times they can't afford $40. If I'm a boater, I'm not going to ask my co-angler for money. I'm not going to tell them, because I tell you what, gas prices suck right now. They really do. And I have a boat, and I understand what it takes to maintain a boat. So I at least give them $40. And that's starting, right? For me stepping in the boat, you get $40. That's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Now, I did have a guy win down at Tanner's Creek and down there in Ohio River. He ended up winning with 4 fish at 9 pounds on the river. It was terrible, dude. It was so bad that weekend. It was rough. It was just rough.
I mean, if you don't have a full limit and you win, then that's pretty much.
He won with 4 fish at 9 pounds, a little over 9 pounds. And I gave him $80 because we went deep into the river. Like, you can gauge, but standard is about $40. Like JP said, $40 standard, give a boaters. It depends. But usually I'm, start off at 40 and that's a good start.
Grow up.
Well, hey, that's probably nothing there, Jesse, because if you go over to Alaska, it's probably about $8 or $9 a gallon.
See, but there's a reason in Alaska is because you got to take the travel, you got to get it there.
Well, there's also a reason in California. They want everybody to use electric cars and not drive at all. So,
California's silly.
The fishing's so good there, though.
There's definitely more cars. I'm not going to say there's definitely more cars in New York, but I think there's more cars in New York and gas is not that expensive. Stop it.
Well,
it's $2.80 here, so.
That's another topic. We're talking about fishing. Okay.
We need to do this. We need to do like a rabbit hole one where we just go down rabbit hole.
Right.
Like a whole episode.
That like burley fishing off the rails. That's what we do all the time. Yeah, I'm off the rails. Get back on
99%. Yeah.
I mean, and like I said, I basically go through on my channel, go through everything and say, hey, this is the contingencies. I have this jersey. There's a lot of these companies that I have. I reached out to them and asked. I have no money from them. I have no affiliation except for I use their number. I buy their product at a discounted rate and I promote them and they get to go on my jersey. And, there's some affiliated links that I have. Monster Bass is one of them. And another one is Sportsman's Outfitters. Nice. If you ever look on there, if you ever go onto my channel and look down in the description, you'll find Sportsman's Outfitters. Click on that thing. I'm telling you, you get slobber knocker a lot
They have
cheaper.
some good stuff.
Yeah,
You
Sportsman's
get
Outfitters,
some good deals.
For sure.
I like them a lot, honestly. And they ship look,
They
Tackle
do.
Warehouse has everything. That's the number one thing about Tackle Warehouse. They always have
But
almost
they don't
always
really have
all
discounts.
the time. No discounts.
Yeah,
So,
for the most part. Every
for the
once
most
in a
part.
while, through.
We do like their seasonal stuff, but like if you're just
Mhm.
shopping regularly, Sportsman Outfitters is probably, I would say, mildly the other way around. Always a discount. Sometimes it's a little bit tough to find.
They've
Still.
got some sort of basic.
And it's
there.
just, but you can get a notification when they're in
Yes, yes.
stock.
So
So
you get a shot.
I mean,
A shot.
I've done a lot of, I bought a lot of tackle off of there, and I've also used a lot of codes from other creators, right? So, like Omnia or any other, stuff like that, or going over to American Legacy, with Fishing with Gramps, like he has a code for that, or I stack codes like Alex Rudd has one for Monster Bassett's beard, right? What's on his face,
25%.
So, I take full advantage of those.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I buy everything I use. I buy myself. I don't. They're not given to me. Nothing is given to me. I don't want it given to me because then I'm in a contract at that point. I'm already in a contract whenever you ask to. Something else I use is the National Pro Staff. I pay a fee, and then basically they help promote. They get your name out there. Like Pulse Fishing was one of those I went through them. Fitzgerald was one of those I went through. There was another one. Oh, X Zone. So there's a couple of companies I went through. YOLO Tech is now they're new.
Nice.
They're new on board this year with me.
Cool.
And then Straight Up Mounts is another company that's with me, and they actually in the description of my videos, there's actually some discounts on that you can get.
Nice.
And Jason, if you need to go, if you don't want to stay here anymore,
Dude, I can talk all night long. It's up to you guys what you guys want. I can sit here and talk about fishing all day.
Good. We can chat for a little
more. 24/7.
So Michael's got a good question at 10:36.
Okay. You're keeping up with the comments better than we are. All right, there we go.
Well, I'm kind of glancing at them as we go. So, and then we got Creeks and Trails next after that. So,
man, that's interesting.
Have you ever had? Yes.
Wow,
man, that's crazy.
It wasn't intentional. I'll say that much. We had a malfunction, right? So we were cruising down Ohio River. It's bumpy, right? It's bumpy. It's basically a straight. We pull up on this flat, and I was like, "Hey, man, we're gonna tear them up, man. I can already see them pushing bait fish." I'm like, it's June, July. I think it was July, maybe August. Anyway, you can see them pushing bait fish. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be great. Oh, we're gonna get on them." And he puts his power poles down, but then he puts them up because he wanted to retie. So he puts them up. Well, then all of a sudden they just go fall down. He puts them back up and then fall down. And he didn't see him the second time. And I'm back there in the back, and I'm like, "Hey, your power poles." He's like, "Oh, they're okay." I said, No, they're down. And he's like, I was wondering why we weren't going anywhere. I had it up to 100 while we were stuck on something. I'm like, "Yeah, your power poles are stuck in the mud." The dude didn't even know. And the guy actually was trying to fish coming this direction toward us, went around us. Whoa. And he saw the power poles down. So he had to pack up and leave because it's 50 feet, from the power poles from down. So they couldn't fish behind us. They had to go around and go into the creek. And he goes, "Well, I probably should have told that guy. I didn't mean to do that." I'm like, But he kept malfunctioning. Even afterwards, he caught a fish, and we were going back to weigh in, and we're hitting the thing, and them things kept going down. So finally, he just shut them out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those who don't know or have known or watch my channel, this year was not a very good year for me. Like I didn't qualify for regionals, which is fine. It's James River in Virginia. I'm okay with that. It's too daggone cold. My buddy's there right now. He says it's freezing. I actually got invited to the wild card in the BFL, which is down on Wheeler Lake, November 11th and 12th. It's a 2-day event. Top winner goes to the All-American, and it's down on Wheeler Lake in Alabama. Now,
Man,
I've never fished Alabama. I've never fished down there. Creeks and Trails, I've actually talked to him a couple of times through. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm dragging a jig. I was a jig, a drop shot.
Throw the drop shot away.
Head. Well, because if we're on those flats, you use that drop shot because it's perfect because then you're up above usually the grass. You're up off the bottom, so if they're suspended a little bit, you'll catch them.
That's where this comes in.
You know, when I threw that my last tournament, threw something like that. Didn't do any good, but for a fishing wheeler, I don't know, possibly catching some big fish.
Okay,
that's what I look forward to. It'd be nice to get something on film. You know how it is. You guys know how it is filming.
Yeah. Yep.
It sucks a lot of times, and GoPros like to overheat or do whatever they want to do, and you're like, So, I think I think getting on those flats and seeing some big Alabama bass, and that way at least somebody will win in Alabama. Oh, too soon.
Man, I mean, hopefully you get like some good fish down there. I mean, I think in November they'll be definitely schooling by then. They'll be chasing bait fish up shallow. I think.
I mean, here it's
what part of is Wheeler, Alabama?
It's northern part. It's literally right across the way. It's actually from Gunnersville, and then it rolls into Wheeler, and then it runs out and goes into Tennessee.
Okay.
And of course, you know, here's the thing, as a co-angler, I'm at the mercy of my boater.
True. Yeah.
So
that's never good. You want to get your boat up and running.
Yep. Eventually I'll get in the front, and even if that, I'll let you guys, if you guys want to come up here, we can meet somewhere. I don't care. I'll meet you guys halfway. We should triangulate where our places are then meet in the middle, and let's go there and fish. I'll bring the boat.
Awesome. Hey, then we can bring all the people from our chat.
I'll do it next season.
Chat.
I'll do it next season. I'm serious. I'll do it.
I ain't scared.
Best. I think maybe you think Virginia would be too hard for you to get to?
No.
Really?
Virginia. Yeah.
No. It won't.
I think Virginia might be like, and so you know what's crazy? If you want to do like the spawn in Virginia, I'm so down because it's still going to be frozen over up here. So that means I could go like fishing in Virginia. We could do like February, March. My birthday's in March 6th, so I'll take
it. It's like my son. His is March 15th. So
yeah, because in New York it's cold. Like I'm on my birthday. When my birthday comes around, I'm like, "Is that ice done yet?" I remember like last year it was like.
See, I think I think
my birthday.
I would like to see a bunch of us get together and do like not necessarily meet and greet, but just something of that nature.
Because we
meet and make like a guy's time or whatever, and just like
barbecue or something.
You get an Airbnb and just hang out and go fishing and just enjoy the time, the weekend or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm always down for that. So
I'm down too. Straight up.
For sure.
All right, JP, what you got here? Usually try to fish when there's a co-angler.
Probably a jig.
Can't say it depends.
Jig is one of them, and it depends. Again, that depends on what he or she is throwing on the front of the boat, right? So, a Ned rig, because a Ned rig, a deadly Nedley will catch anything. And I don't care what you say about him. I don't care what Alex Rudd says about him. He's been using them like crazy and catching some big fish. And he swears that he would never use a sissy rod. And I say, I don't care. I'll use it all day long. That's what I use around here.
So can I interrupt? I got questions. So I'm not that good with the net. I don't know. It doesn't, and which is crazy because I'm a good jig fisherman. I like to believe that I'm a good jig fisherman.
These are the nets I throw, aka shake.
So I have one tied on right now, and it's just the regular, the smaller Ned, the coppertures. I just started throwing it. I think I went out. I caught a little perch. Am I doing something wrong, or am I just not fishing enough because I don't have the confidence in it? I think that's more or less what it is.
And we're talking coppertures like the Z-Man product?
Yeah, the Z-Man.
Okay. I will tell you this. As soon as you get a Z-Man product out, take it and stretch it out.
I do that. So it'll be a more buoyant.
That's the first thing.
Yes.
And the reason why is when you rig it, that tail will just do this. It loosens up that tail. Right? That's what I'm that's what I'm saying. Like in that case, loosen up the tail. Now, depending on what kind of water you are fishing, if you're fishing moving water, you may want to go with something like not too light but not too heavy because you don't want it stuck in the rocks, but light enough where if you throw it out, it can just barely touch bottom and kind of drag along.
So are you moving it like faster, like a bing, or you're a slow guy?
Nope. I throw it out. I let it sit there. I don't move it. I'll drag it just like I do a jig. Or there's several different ways. I'll have to send it to you. I'll send it to you Instagram. All right. I got your Jermaine. I got your phone number. I'll send it to you via that way.
Okay.
There's several different ways of doing the Ned rig. You can fish it like swimming because the fish will hit that because it looks like a small bait fish.
And you're just kind of balancing it?
Yeah, you can go like that and swim it. You can hop it on the ground like you would a jig. Or you can drag it. Just drag it right along and then reel up and then drag it right along. You drag a little bit and stop. You drag a little bit and stop. What it does is it's creating dust. And what it makes it look like there's a little bait fish down there eating or a crawdad down there tearing up the bottom. And it gets their attention. I don't care what kind of fish it is. They're going to get their attention. I had a drum in one of my local lakes here take off. And I was like, oh, man. I was like, oh, my gosh, get the net. And he's like, it's just a sheep head. And I'm like, shut up. But yeah, there's different ways and techniques that you can do it. A lot of people dead stick it. I do that a lot.
Yeah.
Especially after right behind a boater. If I can get that degree right, that 30-foot distance is about. So if he's casting one, I'm casting right behind him 30 feet. And then he'll cast again is about 15 to 20. I cast again 15 to 20. Basically, I'm closing in to where he just threw. But I'm still hitting just slightly off.
Slightly off, yeah.
So I'll just leave it and dead stick it. Okay. And then let the water do its thing. If you're doing the stream, I fish a lot with the stream. I'll make sure I hit the bottom. I want it to tap the rocks. Okay. So you want enough weight to tap the rocks.
Yeah, so, started Ned's, I bailed, says Michael.
And then I think the last bait I would use or technique I would use, and it's a toss-up between a crankbait and a drop shot. And the reason why I say a crankbait, because crankbait you can use them when you're going speed, or spinnerbait. Spinnerbait's another thing that you would use behind them. So that covers water, right? But then if you're waiting or you're setting out on a roadbed or something like that, I use a drop shot.
Okay.
It tears them up. Robo-worm. Was it Margarita Mutilator?
I love that.
That one. and as well as the Aaron Morning Magic thing. Mm-hmm. That's tribute to Aaron Martins.
Amazing.
He was a drop shot man.
He called the boat manufacturers from his sponsor, and he had them remove the glitter from the color because he thought it made the boat way more than all the others, so it could go faster. He was like, he fine-tuned everything for fishing.
Oh yeah,
it was interesting.
And most of the guys that tinker around, I mean, that's what we do. If you look at, you go and talk to anybody, I don't care who you are, anybody that deals with fishing or gets into it to either fun or professionally, or I'm not here to try to win I like to win a bass boat, I'm not going to lie. I'm not here to try to win 300,000, be a Red Crest winner, angler of the year. I mean, it'd be nice, but I'm also 45 years old and I'm realistic, right? I know my limitations, and I know that I struggle a lot when I'm out there right now, but when I'm done and I've made my full recovery and I'm out there fishing for having fun, I'm going to be able to, I can look back and go, I did my best.
You're going to be able to dance. You got plenty of juice left.
Yep.
You know,
you have a chance to
being a year off an open heart and getting out there and doing what you do.
Yeah.
You know, awesome. Power to you, brother. Because a lot of people lay down after things like that and say, oh, nope. I'm done. I'm just going to lay it up. So, you know, power to you.
Yeah, my first tournament, I went to Del Hollow Lake, and it was in March, and it was cold there in the mountains in the northern part of Tennessee, southern part of Kentucky. It's right on the border, and it was super cold. And I'm telling you, I was bundled up, and I was feeling it. I was hurting. I was so hurt. You know what he's talking about? They actually do. Daniel, they actually make a new Midwest jig that has it's a bigger weight, and I think they have it where you can go up to a 6-aught hook. I think it's now on Duke molds. I think it's a
Magnum.
It's a Magnum whatever Magnum Ned rig or something like that. Fishing with Gramps throws it all the time.
Yeah.
JT throws it all the time. So.
Yeah, it's like so pretty much he said essentially he throws the big TRDs on there.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially.
And you use the trickle tails too. Use those. Like even like you were saying, Ned rigs, take those tickle tails and then stretch them out really good. Yeah. Obviously, that's something you want to do. And then they'll get that action. Use it on one of those Ned rigs.
Here we go. Now I got a personal question for you. I'm going fishing tomorrow because I'm off. Give me 3.
Must be nice.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not off that much. I sell cars, so I'm not off that much. But if I'm going tomorrow, I'll take one out of your mouth and say I'm gonna throw some of your nets because I want to see what's going on with that. But if you had some other, because you do fish the colder waters like I do, so you're kind of, I would say you're kind of in the same flow that I'm in. Where like, did you get your first freeze like these last couple nights?
Oh yeah, we got our first snow and everything here.
Whoa! All right. Don't be saying all that.
Use the S word.
Yeah,
that's gonna be your. That should be in your guys'
chest.
Thumbnail. Snow. No, they have. We've had some snow flurries, and of course, it was a lot of rain mixed in.
Yeah.
We're close to that state up north. We don't like to say it too much here in Ohio, Michigan.
Yeah, I hear that.
Well, anyway, that's one of those inside jokes. But anyway, they cold waters. Well, go ahead. What was you going to say? Anyway.
Oh, I was going to say if I'm going to throw what 3 baits
would you use?
Yeah, what would you use in some colder waters? Perch, bluegill, forage.
You do have the one like with the shad in it too, but those are probably going to be dying off pretty soon.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have a shad kill pretty soon. It's probably within these next few weeks, you're going to have a big shad kill.
Then go catfish fishing.
Catfish will love them. Yeah, exactly. Or you can catch them if you can get them. If you see them, get them, freeze them, and then take them out catfishing next year. That's free bait, man. Come on,
Yeah. Right.
So I think low and slow is my terminology I like to use. Some type of jig, finesse jig. I was talking about this here, the 6 cents jig, something like that, a ball jig, or something with the crawl. I would not use anything with crawls because of the water, because it kicks water and it's colder water. So you want to use something more of a paddle style. So like the rodent, like the Strike King rodent, or
I love that.
Paddle tails.
Actually, I think here's something that I would highly suggest. Got to get my bag. See, I'm using them finally.
There we go. I got some of the rodents in the Monster Bass box, Debo's Monster Bass box, I think it was. Or Rudd's, one of the two. And they were amazing.
You reuse those?
Oh, those are good.
The leeches?
Okay.
Oh, my.
Very good.
Oh, my gosh. Nico leech?
No, I'm not. I haven't touched Nico baits yet.
Oh, man. You need to get some of them.
And so does that float? Is that a Ned rig kind of thing?
Yes. It's a Ned rig. And they're Nico.
And they're biodegradable.
Oh, okay.
They're biodegradable.
They're safe.
Kind of like a last tech, but it's not a last.
And those float up?
Yeah, it'll float up.
Oh, okay.
They're made of that same PVC Stretch X formula.
Yeah.
You can actually buy that stuff to pour your own baits into.
Really?
There's a special place where you can get it. It's pretty cheap too, surprisingly. It doesn't biodegrade. But he's
got a little thing right there, underspin, little underspin with a little paddle tail.
Oh, yeah.
Make it look like a bait fish.
Yeah.
Here's another color I like. That one there was the magma.
That's color, my favorite.
Right?
Yeah.
This is one of my favorites because it looks like a leech. It's just black.
Black, yes.
Straight black.
Yeah. Super good.
This thing here on one of those Ned rigs, can't beat it. Like all the time around here on those lakes and stuff. All the time.
Question, Jason, too. You sent me these as well. Do you Ned rig these?
Oh, the 48?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are good.
You sent me a bunch of these as well. Thank you.
I was 48. So those 48, those are really good on wacky rigs. If you look at Debo actually does a really good video on those.
Okay.
He actually does it. That's who turned me on to those was Debo. I was watching this thing and I was like, oh my goodness, like those. It's just they're different when they shimmy through the water, and they're because it's got that flat side, and the way it's kind of weird because the Senko will just kind of do this number. They don't do that number. They like fluctuate something like this.
Yeah.
So.
Like
it's something weird like that. It's almost like a jellyfish.
Yeah,
with only two tentacles. You know what I'm saying? Just like it's so weird. The 48. That's what they use them for. That's what he uses them for. Is a wacky rig because the smaller taper body in the middle makes it easier to wacky rig it.
And that's also what makes them have that action because the tips are rounded a little bit.
You're explaining it. I'm sitting.
They have a nice round shape, so they kind of go like that. So the one when water flows across them with those ribs, he goes over them like that. Instead of with Senko, it goes over them. But those
you can use it like a shaky head, right? You can have that in a shaky head, but see, like right there, a wacky rig, that's perfect.
Clip it off in the middle, and I'm sure you can use it on a Ned rig or a drop shot. You know.
So that's my thing. Do you guys ever use Ned rig baits that don't float?
Oh yeah.
Even like shaky heads.
Yeah.
Technically, there's
honestly, I was thinking about putting this whole thing on there.
Yeah, feed it on there.
My problem
is you only got a few more bags of those.
Mush, right?
We've got a bunch of mush on the bottom of our legs, so the bait, even if it's like an 8-inch bait, like an 8-inch worm on a shaky head, there's only going to be 6 inches or 5 inches showing out of the actual mush on the bottom. So it helps to have that bigger bait because it's just going to sit down there in a couple of inches. So that's the problem. And you could go to lighter weights.
So, Brandon, did you find some good techniques to use with those Ned rigs I sent you? What I can use on those?
The heavier ones, those airtail wigglers, those are one of my favorite worms to actually throw on them. And the heavier ones, I'm planning on like doing like fast little pops on in deeper water. And then these ones right here, I'm planning to use like kind of up shallow, kind of pitching around docks. So I'm excited to be messing with. I'm also going to use these for craws too, because I like fishing a craw on a shaky head.
Yeah, that Nico craw, that's pretty powerful.
That's a good little bait.
I'm not dead set on the TRD crawls or whatever, the Z-Man crawls. Not too much on that one, but
yeah.
You were showing that, Jermaine. You were showing that.
Yes.
48. Yeah, it looks sweet, man. Look at that.
I like the color.
And then question too. I just noticed
I forgot that color.
This one is Goby Bite.
Okay, that's one of my favorites. That's an awesome one. Kind of like electric shad.
Yeah.
Question too. So I noticed this hook.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so that's one of those. That's a different hook. So you got the choker hook there, Brandon. He's got the actual Z-Lock hooks.
So I like that because it's
a Z-Lock hook. It's something a little different. So
there.
I even took the Berkeley Trilane hook and a bunch of others and experimented with them.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. It's nice. You can just
And then when it chomps down, it actually pins them. When they grab a hold of it, it pins them to where it catches. And I'll tell you this: there was a fishing like derby or whatever get together for veterans to take a warrior fishing that I did earlier, and they had I used one of the Ned rigs that I made just before that tournament, and I caught him. I caught the biggest bass. And it was pinned perfectly in the center, the top dead center of his mouth.
That's awesome.
Perfect. And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" It was crazy. And the guy's like, "Well, that's crazy." Like, I was like, "Dude, I just made this the other day." So
that's got to be such a good feeling.
It is.
I'm gonna feel like a king when I catch one on him, and it's not even I didn't make him. You made him. I'm gonna call you now.
I made those. I made those Arky style heads, and I used that one down in Tanner's Creek, and I used the rattle and chunk, the black and blue rattle and chunk from the Guggen Squad, which I absolutely love.
Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic. It's great because it's got that rattle in it. I used that, flipped it in there, and man, no sooner I clicked over my, the reel, it was swimming off. I was like, "What the heck?" Like, whoa! It was big enough to keep. And that was, and I was like, "Okay, it's on now." And that thing, the hooks are sharp.
I caught a 4
I think that's awesome.
To start one of my episodes off. I was like in the middle of the intro, and I just got there, and like I almost forgot to turn my camera on, and like as I'm like flipping it out, I flipped it out, and I hit my thing. I'm like, "Oh, hey guys, 4-pounder."
Welcome to the channel.
Yeah. I was like, "What's up, guys?"
I did a Senko fishing or a bed fishing video, and I was just catching fish after fish in this one area, and I was sitting in the boat, and I go, "Hey guys, welcome back to do my intro," and I cast over there, and I'm like telling them, "All right, hey guys, welcome to this video," and I set the hook on one, and I reel them in as I'm doing like just barely start the video. It's awesome.
Yep. Those are always fun.
It's it's going to be a good day when that happens
for sure.
So something these Ned rig does X Zone, these new ones here, the thicker ones or the longer ones, those work really good on a Ned rig. I don't know if I have it on there. I don't have it.
So I was thinking about doing that, like more or less of like upgrading my size on my Ned to give me a little bit more confidence. Because sometimes I feel it's that little dinky dink of a bait. Like
like
So
catching the perch.
So here's these X Zone sticks,
Like
right?
these guys. You sent me these as well. Beautiful colors. Nothing wrong with these.
Oh, yeah, the peanut butter and jelly.
Crazy. I love it. It's amazing. But for me, it's like this is
it's perfect. It's perfect size.
Yeah.
So what I end up doing, and you're speaking of Chokar, these are the X Zone True Center sticks, right? The 5-inch.
Oh yeah. Senko on it.
So this is the watermelon pepper with the Chokar hook. And it's kind of like what you were saying was the shaky head. It replaces the shaky head. But this time, these float, so it's going to give you the presentation like that.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think a Ned rig and a shaky head are pretty much interchangeable. It's the same thing, just bigger or smaller, you know? Yeah.
Wow.
So, JP, I've never fished the Nico crawls. That's something that I'm wanting to get into and wanting to fish. I really think they'll fit really good on those Ned rigs that I make.
I put them on the back.
Yeah, look at that. That's that. Was that one with the
that's the peanut butter and jelly
with the
bait keeper,
hook keeper on there, or bait keeper?
Yeah. I suck at this. I'm sorry, y'all.
It's fine. So when you go, whenever you make those, whenever you put those on there, keep it as straight as you can. That's something else. Like everybody says, it's got to be straight. Sometimes they don't have to be.
No.
They say keep it as straight as you can, and basically dead rig.
Like you're saying.
If you have it offset,
did you see that movement? Look at that movement. That movement is crazy. Can you imagine now? Take water and letting it run over that, and that's just constantly doing this the whole time down there while you're just sitting there. Basically, a fish will come up and just kind of look at it like this, like literally look at it, like what the hell is that? And then they'll go down and suck it up.
What I've seen in carp fishing is pretty cool. Is how smart the carp have gotten in Europe, and I'm wondering if this is the same thing for bass. But the carp, they see the bait dangling there, and what they do is they go all the way around it to see if they can feel the line.
Yeah,
I'm wondering if bass are doing that. So I think that's interesting.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, it's just like what JP said on the Texas rig. I throw a stick bait on there. I've thrown some. Usually, it's a creature baits that I throw on my Texas rig.
Yeah.
Every now and then I'll throw a crawl, just kind of give it a change, like some type of crawl. But usually it's going to be a creature bait.
Yeah,
a bandito bug, something like that.
I'm a range bug man.
So Creek and Trails out. We actually started watching that before I left work.
I saw that. Yes.
And then I packed up to leave work, and then by the time I got home, the Burley was on, so I got to catch up on that. But I saw the thumbnail, and I got, excuse me.
I was like interested
through him starting to talk about it, but I paused it.
Yeah, if you, who does. So he's saying there's a tool for that.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever watch Norm fishing with Norm, he throws the rattles and those worms down there south all the time and drags them. So he'll take the rattle nets, pops the rattles out, and he'll take them and put them in his worms or his crawls or whatever and throw them out there and drag the bottom with it.
Nico
so he'll have the bandito bug or rattle and worm or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
You can buy little rattles though that essentially you can insert.
I put those in my wood baits. Yeah.
That'd be pretty sick on this. You get a
oh
yeah. And hey, something else I just thought about besides a Ned rig, you can do a Nico rig with those. Nico rig would be great because the center is small enough to where you can put your hook and your O-ring, or you can get a crossover. That's what I use, the crossover, the VMC crossover style. And then you put one of those weights in the nose and
Oh yeah.
If they tear up one side, you just flip it over and use the other side, and it gives a little bit more action if it's broke apart. There's like
For
flaps over here. So
I like the quiver by Missile Baits. That's my favorite Nico bait.
Yeah. So I've never Nico rigged before either.
neither have I. Neither have I. There's a lot of techniques that I haven't. I'll say that I'll be upfront. I'm an open book with a lot of techniques, and that's one of those I don't. Dude, I went through so much junk that I don't even. I'm like, oh, this will be good for a Nico rig, or this will be good for a wacky rig. I ain't even caught one on a wacky rig, dude. I've caught more trees on a wacky rig than I have fish.
Man,
so when I threw it,
one good fish on a wacky rig, and he broke me off.
And
he could have been good.
Are you sure it was a bass?
I don't know if it was a bass for sure.
It could have been a toothy creature, because they will eat pretty much anything, pike or walleye, muskie.
But essentially, there's like a building, and it looks like a
dock.
It's okay. So imagine like 10 feet off the bank, a porta potty, kind of like a building. And it's just like it's got like a little bridge to the bank, and it's gated off that you can't go on it. And it's a big old piece of structure, so I always cast next to it. And like one day I was struggling real bad, and I'm like, oh, let me take my wacky rig. I'm gonna walk down there, and I'm gonna cast next to this structure because there's got to be something there. Black Senko Yamamoto, right next to it, like perfect cast, right next to the building. It goes down, and I watched the line go, and I went, wow, I actually caught a fish on the wacky rig. Bang. 1, 2, 3. Connection knot slipped. My braid came back. And it didn't even jump to like try to shake it or anything. I was just like,
FG.
I literally got the zzz, and then and I was like,
yeah. I like the FG. It's never failed me.
Yeah, I know. Like the Nico rig, they have what Basson with Big Malone was talking about was the skirts. They have those weights with the skirts on them. They help with the, putting the little flare to them, right? I guess if you wanted to, you could take your soft plastics and take a needle and thread them in there if you want.
Mike, leave me alone. The bird whisperer, no longer mainstream fishing.
Daniel had a question. He asked me if it was at 10:47.
I missed. Sorry, Daniel.
Yeah, we're kind of like way behind a little bit, but anyway. I have not fished, Daniel. I have not fished any of the mountain lakes in East Kentucky. Like this year was just a kind of off year for me. Like I said, I was recovering from open heart surgery, so I didn't get a chance to get out like I normally do. My wife's like, I'm pretty sure you're cheating on me. I'm like, yeah, fishing. That's what I'm cheating on. I mean, it's because I was gone all the time fishing with friends or, catfishing. I do a lot of catfishing too. So
you're out chasing bass, you're not chasing ass.
Yep. And it's funny because when I first joined the service, I was gone like every Friday night. And my wife's like, why are you gone every Friday night? And I go, you're cheating on me. I go, well, if his name is Jack and the other one is Troy, then I guess I am cheating on you. But it was just our own little clique that we always went fishing together every Friday night. Yeah. We do catfishing if it was on base or if it was just a small pond right off base or
you need
and those are things that you never get back. Those are memories that you'll always have, and you make new memories with new people. And I'm so used to meeting new people that I don't even. It's like going up to you guys. If you guys wanted to go fishing, let's go, man. I'm all about it.
That's what it's all about.
That's awesome. All about it. Yeah. So I think I can actually head out. So
that's what you're gonna make like a baby and head out.
Well, sorry. I got stuff to do.
It is getting a little late.
I know.
Well,
I don't use a tube. Sorry, Michael. I don't use a tube.
I don't use a tube either. So
the only tube I use
have one package of tubes. That's it.
YouTube. That's the only tube I use.
I got the 6 cents Karub.
The Karub. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think it's too much different than a regular tube, but
Smaller. You can't really tube rig it, which is weird. But they're getting at you. They're getting at you.
It is not. I don't have one.
Yeah, it's bedtime, kids.
If you do got stuff to do, you can jump out though. And I think me and Jason might hang out here for a few more minutes.
Yeah, I mean, if you're down, Jermaine, I am. I mean, I don't.
Hang out for a few more minutes.
You're good. You don't have to work tomorrow, but I only sleep about 4 to 5 hours a night anyway, if I'm lucky.
Yeah,
I mean, that's that military thing in me because you get so used to it. I run off of just pure straight adrenaline.
Yeah. Well, I've got stuff to do, so I'm gonna head out of here.
Okay, fine.
I'll see you next
thank
week.
you guys. Thank you so much, Jason Emery, for coming out here with us. It was awesome.
No problem. Hey, and get a hold of me on Instagram. We'll exchange numbers and stuff. It's easier to text that way instead of exchange-a-gram.
Yeah,
I never checked Instagram.
I forget about it half the time.
The phone.
I just realized what day it was, and I was like, "Oh, Jermaine, where are you at?"
Yep.
Yeah.
So, all right, Brendan, go do what you gotta do, brother.
All right, see you next
week.
And thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, Bassin with Big Malone, he asked, "Have you fished?" I have not fished in Virginia, to be honest with you. Probably one of the states I want to fish in. I've fished in quite a few states. Being from Indiana originally, lived in Illinois, lived in Georgia for a little while, fished in those states. Fished in, I lived in Alaska, fished in Alaska. I did some deep sea fishing out of Hawaii. I mean, never really done any fishing down in Florida or any of those places. I've done some in Texas and
oh my goodness, look at this,
Arkansas. So yeah, woo, hot dating sites. We got to go there. Woo, feels so much better. Like Alex Rudd said, "Oh yeah,
we made it now. We got sex balls."
But yeah, I think I would like to try to get with some people. So what I'm also trying to do is I'm trying to create a brand pretty much of taking veterans out fishing and first responders and nurses and everything with all the things that they have. It is what it is. But I really want to try to give back to the community and everything else and take people out fishing. So what I would like to do, and this is going to be, I don't think I'm too far off. I've been out in Washington State, so I got that state covered. I caught a fish out there. I like to catch a fish in every state.
Yes, sir. Me too.
And by the time you go through and figure out, all the states, there's a lot of states. It's only 50 states, but that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
And to plan out.
Think about it sometimes. Some guys don't catch 50 bass a year.
Yeah. Yep.
So for you to go catch one in every state, I mean, Alaska might be the toughest because it's only like
you won't catch a bass. You won't catch a bass up in Alaska.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the reason why I said you catch a fish, because there's some places that you got to very rarely just got to hit the right time to catch a bass. They're very slim. A lot of places down here in the lower 48, you can catch a bass, but so I'm telling you, 50, if you did 50 and 50, well, you can 49 and 40, 49, 49, because you can't really get one in Alaska because they had one up there and it died. So there was technically, and it was only like 6 ounces.
Yeah, it wasn't even like big. They found it. It was dead in the lake or something like that.
Yep. Yeah. So,
but that would still be pretty cool.
Yeah, because I think it'd be cool to try to do.
That's I don't know nothing else. So it's like fishing, bass fishing, what?
Yep. But you know what though, and this is why I like fishing is an international language, and I say that because when I was in England, I was stationed there for 4 years. It was right after September 11th. Of course, we had to fight a war, and I was in the Air Force. But I got my fishing license there, and then I end up catching a zander, which is like a walleye. That's very rare to catch there in England. I'm the only guy out of 10 that caught one there. That we were all fishing buddies, and then I caught that big pike, and I caught a bunch of pike and a freshwater eel. But their game fish is carp over in England. And actually, there's some big carp. I mean, 50, 60-pound carp. Now, if you go down to France, there's a nice river down there. They actually fish for catfish. They're big catfishermen. So different, and that's why, like in South Africa and stuff like that, there's some big bass there, as well as over in Japan, there's some big bass.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it'd be cool to kind of go on those adventures, but to do 50 and 50, that's cool. So I lived it was by Champaign, Urbana. And that's right there by University of Illinois. Just north of that, Rantoul is where I lived at. So, but yeah, it'd be kind of cool to do 50 and 50, wouldn't it? Just like if it'd be really cool is if you can get a sponsor. If you can get somebody to sponsor it and do 50 for 50.
Yeah.
Like, 30 for 30, right? They do that for ESPN. Why can't you do 50 for 50? Well, 50. 49 for 49.
49 for 49. Yeah, that'd be pretty sick.
But if you can get them to do that, and you start off in Maine, you start off Maine in June, by the time you get down to California, you can be done in a month. Well, it'll be pretty close.
A month? That'd be wild.
That'd be crazy, wouldn't it?
A month. I don't know if you. I mean,
day to day.
If you really put your mind to it, I think you could do it in a day, in a month. That'd be a hell of a series though, because you'd have content every single day.
Oh yeah.
You'd blow up. So what's that one? I don't even know his name, but he's the definition of the YouTube algorithm. He posted every day. He crossed the United States with a penny. His name's like Max or something, or whatever it is. I don't know if any of us.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah. And he got like 1 million followers in 30 days. Yeah, like literally. And I was like, what? But he started in California and he made it to New York or something like that. And he started with a penny.
Well, I mean, I agree with what Bassman Big Malone was saying was, 50 for 50 days. I mean, that is pushing, because it had to be perfect. The timing, the weather, the everything. And as well as I do, you get on a road to go somewhere, it's never perfect.
Never.
It's never right. I mean, if you had an airplane, I guess you could do it. You just jump from place to place, but where's the rest? Where's the, you're going to have to rest and everything else. So, I mean, even if you said, all right, fine, we'll do 50 states in 3 months, that'll give you some time to kind of figure out what is happening to the fish.
Yeah.
At least give you an extra day or two.
And then hit the north in that first month.
Yeah. You want to start in the far north and just hit all the northern.
Straight across.
Come down and come back. And it's like this.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
And you end up in Florida or
and then
Hawaii.
You end up in Florida. So you started June, July, August. Yeah. I mean, you could do June, July, August, or you could do like August, September, November.
I would not do it then, to be honest with you. And the reason why is because your dog days of summer.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
So I would start in Maine.
Late in the season?
I would say May timeframe. May, June, July.
May, June, July.
Because then they're spawning there, and they're just out of spawn down south.
Yeah.
So they're going to be hitting, and it's
So you
not the
should be
dog
getting
days
down
yet.
there, yeah, when they're biting.
Maybe starting at the end of April, but
So yeah, that's what Jersey just said.
yep.
Matt, he just said I'd go mid-April.
See, and I think if you had 4 or 5 people at one time, like you can pile in a vehicle and you can get everything paid for, and
That'd be so sick.
And just you have a boat, and you just guys 3 of you or 4 of you go, and each of you film and
That'd
do
be
all
so
that.
sick.
You're talking about, dude. You're talking about crazy though. It'd be so cool though. It'd be so cool to be like,
legendary. That'd literally be legendary.
I mean, just and whoever the sponsor is on that, do you realize how much like attention they're going to get?
Yep, that'd be sick. I'd do it. I mean, I couldn't put my job down unless they pay me,
but I'm saying, I mean, at that point, if you were, let's say a couple of times over there they are again. Let's do some hot adult dating sites. If we went to, let's say, here in a couple more years, right? Your channel, my channel, Brandon's channel, Joe Smo's channel, whatever, because you're going to cross paths with so many people between now and then because of YouTube. Things start to kind of go, and you can almost do it full time. That's the best way to start it off.
I'm out. Yeah. Honestly, I've already thought about that. That's the first thing I would do. If I got the ability to go full time, and somebody gave me like a true chance, and we're like, hey, we'll give you X amount of dollars a year, and you can live, just go fish and keep posting content and promote us, but you can speak freely. I would not take a single contract. I won't do it.
Yep.
And you can speak freely about what you want to do. I'd go in and shake my boss's hand tomorrow.
Well, see,
and then the first thing I would do would go visit some guys that I've been working with and that I've been close knit with, because that's essentially what I truly want to do. I would love to be able to pick up and just say, yo, Jason, I'm on the way. Oh, they're hitting at you. They're hitting over by you this week. Okay, cool. I'll see you in a day.
I'll meet you in a couple hours down here.
Yeah, I'll meet you. I'm flying in or whatever.
We're gonna be there for a couple days, and then you're out.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm coming to chill for 4 or 5 days. Let's get rocking. Get the cameras ready, and let's put some good content together. Like kind of how like you see Ben Nowak and Alex Rudd does. They have like a scheduled time throughout the year, every year, where Alex goes up to Ben, and then vice versa. I know Ben had the kid, and so he kind of slowed down a little bit, but
another guy that's a YouTube sensation, he's out on Chickamauga, and he's down in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and that's Caleb Bell. He goes up to see Ben all the time. Caleb Bell, so last year they had a meet and greet at St. Clair, Lake St. Clair, up in Michigan, and I was like, you know what, I'll go up there. I got to fish on the boat with Ben and Caleb, and I was in the back of the boat, and I called them hogs. They were vacuum cleaners. They were cleaning up left and right on smallies. I didn't catch a single one that day.
That's crazy.
But I enjoyed, and talk about, I was giggling and everything because I met Dylan from Extreme Outdoorsman. Him and his dad. His dad's cool. He was cool. Like, it was just, I'm telling you, it was
good dudes. They're good
nuts.
dudes. You can feel it. When you can feel it through the camera, that's how you know, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's crazy.
Well, and then seeing them in person, I'm like, wow, like, you guys are just, and they're like, we're normal human beings. And I'm like, yeah, me too. Like,
yeah,
I am. I'm just a normal human being. I have a different sense of humor a lot because of the military, but I like to joke around. I like to have fun. I like to cause ripples between people. I just enjoy that riff that we have going or whatever. And then in the end, it's like, hey, we're friends. We sit down, have a beer, or we can talk to each other, and it is what it is. So, I mean, it's, but yeah, I think it'd be really cool to do something like that. I've been posting usually, twice a week, but here lately I slowed down because of just trying to figure out a couple of things and doing some things with the boat and everything else. And it's colder weather. It's kind of hard to get out and go fishing when you're freezing.
Exactly.
But it's supposed to be 70 degrees this weekend. I'm like, you got to be kidding.
I know. That's where I'm at too. Next week, I think it's supposed to pop back up into like the 60s, and overnight it's only supposed to get down to 55. So I'm like, oh, is that technically a warm front now? So they should turn back on. So now I got to get my butt up and get going again and get out there, try to get some late in the year content. But it's like you said, up north, it's a challenge. I sit down every day and I think hard probably for about an hour. I'm like, dang, what am I going to do on my channel? Like I don't want to be that guy that just like, I'm just spending $50, $60 a week on tackle. I don't want anyone to be like, oh, this, number one, I can't do that. That's $300 a month. I ain't got it like that just yet, and my girl would shoot me. And number two, I just don't want to be viewed as that guy who's like, oh, you're just spending $50 a week just to get content. Like, oh, here's a new unboxing. Here's a new because at the end of the day, up here and up the north, it's going to be 6 months of that. Essentially from, it hurts my heart to say it, but like essentially from now until
March, April.
Yeah. I didn't catch my first fish until April of last year.
Yeah.
I went 7 or 8 times. Actually, I think I lied. I think I caught my first fish like March 27th. Because there's a lake that doesn't open until April, but I know there's fish there and it's shallow, so it warms up a little quicker. So I was over there, and I don't keep them, but I was kind of breaking the rules a little bit. But we ain't gonna talk about that. I caught 2 fish. I think March 27th was the first day I caught a fish. So
I think every year, I think it's always good to have like a board or whatever and say, let's break down goals for the year. You write them down. It makes it a little bit more achievable. Mm-hmm. I can tell you till I'm blue in the face, I'm going to win every tournament this year. And then I end up catching 1 fish out of the whole year.
Yep.
I can't do that. Now, realistic, you got to be realistic on your goals.
Yes, that's a big thing too.
And you want them, retain or attainable, so that way you can accomplish something, right?
Yes.
So every morning when you got up, I don't know about your household, but I know in our household, our parents said, hey, you need to make the bed. And the reason why they asked you to make the bed is because you get the first task of the day done, and it starts off your day right.
Yes.
If you ever think of it that way, a lot of people's like, oh, they're just doing it because they didn't want to mess it up. No, they wanted you to do a task in order to, it was ingrained in you to start off your day with a completed task.
Yeah.
When you complete that, then it makes sense, right? So all I want to do is I want to catch 1 fish on film in a tournament that I can walk across the stage. That's what I wanted this year. Very first tournament I went to, I caught a fish. I was able to walk across stage. Second tournament I went to, I caught a fish and I caught my PB, smallmouth, and I was able to walk across the stage. So see, those are attainable goals that you can set forth for yourself and for others. And I'm not out here. I do some unboxing. I do Monster Bass unboxing. I do 6 Sense unboxing because I love their product. I really do. Yeah. I would like to be I
me too.
Reached out to them so many times.
Yeah.
And said, hey, will you sponsor me? Yeah. Because I'm fishing the MLF.
Yeah.
And I would like to get set up for my boat.
Yeah.
Because the more I use them, then I can keep them. Now, if I start as a co-angler and I keep them and I go into the boating world, guess what's going to go all over my boat?
Yeah.
Their products. So see, I'm playing the game right. Yeah, exactly. And it's weird because you see Ben Milliken, like you were saying earlier, Ben Milliken and Justin Royal. I like Justin Royal. He's an awesome dude. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And
Those are
you know,
colors.
that's that new F4, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Those would be great, especially down there. Actually, my first tournament next year is in February. So from November to February, I got to rewire my whole boat because I got to get ready to go to Chickamauga and in February, and then I have 4 Del Hollow tournaments right back to back.
Yeah.
And it's March and April, and then after that, it starts my Buckeye division. Unless I do good in the other divisions, I'll stay down there. But otherwise, I just go down there and fish because I know there's big fish. You know, you're talking 9-pounders that being caught down in Tennessee
On the regular.
Yeah, I'm going down there. I'm going to go down there and try to
I need to get down there
catch
too.
a few, but
Big Bass and Malone talking about that. So I do the I actually have a book in my bag, and I write down. I try to write down like 3 or 4, like 5 goals.
Yep.
And then just like simple things like, I think like my backpack's not within it is, but it's like simple things like get better with like one of my like tasks this year was to simplify my tackle. So the year before I was scatterbrained. I was getting every color. I was getting one of every color.
Yep.
And then I would go out, have an amazing day with the jig, and then lose it. And then I would be like, oh, I don't have that color anymore. And I lose all my confidence.
Yep.
And then I'm throwing like, it was a bruised green pumpkin, with the black and blue with the green pumpkin. Yep. And now I'm throwing straight green pumpkin, and then I don't get a hit for 20 minutes. And I'm going, was it,
It's
and
because of the color. Right.
And it's all up here. My confidence out the window. So I kind of said, you know what? One of my tasks this year for myself was simplify colors. We're going to use green pumpkin. We're going to use a black and blue, and we're going to use a brown variant. And that's kind of what we're going to do.
And it's tough because you get everybody. We are our own worst enemy.
Yes.
And I say that with confidence that I know the things that I've done, that I have the demons that I have to fight every day, besides the normal ones that the normal, oh my God, I can't catch a fish. Am I throwing the right bait? What is the thing? What is going on? There's actually 2 things. I always go back to my confidence baits, whether it's a spinner bait or it's a buzz bait. Now, granted, you can't throw that in the winter. Sorry, you can't throw a buzz bait in the winter. It's not going to happen. You can definitely slow roll a spinner bait all winter long and still catch fish. Yep. So that's like my go-to, like no kidding. But then there's these other techniques, like a jerk bait. That's something I haven't done in a long time. I finally caught a fish on a jerk bait. It's been a while. And now I'm kind of getting confidence back in my jerk bait ability. So, I will tell you the truth when it comes to baits. If I don't like something, I just don't like it. I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't care. I don't care who I'm sponsored with or who I'm with or what. I'll give them the straightforward. I don't like it or I absolutely love it. It's black and white. There's no gray area. It's not like, oh, I can possibly use this. That's where I become a lot more simpler because I was like you. I wanted to buy every color. I wanted to buy everything because I thought that was what I needed to do to grow a brand or grow this or become
get better.
Big. And then now I'm like, no, I don't need none of that shit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, stuff. Can't.
It's okay. It's late. We're good.
Yeah, it's after 9. Kids bury your parents, but well, we know some kids go to bed. But yeah, I just have, I just make sure that I use what I think is going to work at that time. It's like some people can throw a chatterbait all day long and catch them. I can throw a chatterbait and can't catch jack squat.
Yeah.
I can throw a jerkbait and catch them. You throw a jerkbait and not catch jack squat. Like the thing
like
is it depends on the person, like confidence, like how do I work it? What kind of jerkbait is it? Suspending, floating, sinking, you know. So
that's like me with the Ned rig. I don't catch them with the Ned rig. I just, like I said, I'm gonna go try it again tomorrow. It's getting, like you said, it's getting cold, and I'm gonna go drag something. I'm gonna do that, like you said. I'm gonna try the drag, like you said, see what happens with that.
If you use use obviously the color conditions also play a big factor, and wind and all this other stuff, right? So if you go out there and it's windy, a Ned rig is probably not going to work as well because of it, and depending on the water clarity too. If you don't have a good, clear ability to fish it, then it's going to be hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason why you get the rattle nets, because it has a rattle in it. So when I was fishing Lake Erie a couple years ago up there in a tournament, I used one of these rattle nets on a Ned rig, and it was muddy water, and I was still catching fish.
Yeah,
it's the sound, right? You play on their lateral line on the fish. It's like a spinner bait, between a willow leaf and Indian or Indiana blade and a Colorado blade. You want to use that thump, right? Versus the fine tuned, you want to use the thump.
Yeah.
And that's a Colorado blade. So, what I usually, if I can't figure it out, like I've been frustrated a lot of times in tournaments, it's a mental game. A tournament is more of a mental game than anything, and fishing's a mental game. Whatever you do, don't give up. That was one thing I would say every single time is I was hurting so bad in the chest and my arms. Was like this last tournament, I was exhausted. I was just exhausted. So I just end up going, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to throw. So what I end up doing is there's an app that it's actually called, oh shoot, what is it called now? The Deep Dive app. And you probably seen Fish in the Moment.
Yeah.
He advertises a lot. And you can set the temperature, water clarity, and gives you strategies to use in different parts of the lake, like the front of the creek, the back of the creek, the middle of the creek, the deep or shallow, or spotted bass, largemouth, smallmouth, those kind of things, depending on what your lake has. And it kind of gives you a breakdown on techniques to use in that aspect. And I used that last year, and it helped a little bit. Some of it I just, if I was to the point of what's in, like, what am I going to use? I would get on that and look, and usually it kind of helps me out a little bit. Kind of gives me in the back, like a reset, because you can become very exhausted in fishing very quick because I'm not catching anything.
Yep.
My boater's not catching anything. Then you start talking like, are we even close to the fish? What are we doing? Like what?
That happens to me a lot when I'm recording, because I'll go out and I go through my first two batteries. The battery is usually for me about an hour, maybe an hour, 10 minutes. I'll get on a battery. So I'll go through a battery, no fish. I get through that second battery, no fish, and I'm like, oh man, like I don't even know what to do. I start.
Are you talking your second battery for your GoPro?
Yeah, my second battery for my GoPro. I don't have an external battery just yet.
Oh, you should tell me. I'll send you one.
I
have like fancy. 4 of them.
Yeah, I'm not that fancy yet.
So anyway, I always have a battery pack in my pocket, and I still use a GoPro Hero 7.
Okay.
I don't use it. I'm not that fancy.
I got a 10. I mean, I got a 10 with my work points, so I'm not gonna sit here and
I
say
mean,
I got.
By all means, if you have an avenue to get it, get it. You know,
yeah,
I tell people, I said, whenever I do unboxings or anything like that, it's not to show that, oh, I'm bigger than anybody, I'm better than anybody. All I say is, you do whatever is good for you. You know your limits. I have my limits. My limits are 0 to 100 sometimes. I want everything and then I want nothing. And sometimes I just don't want anything. I don't need anything. I have to keep telling myself I don't need anything.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you this. Actually, Creeks and Trails just brought up a good point. It's the Yellow Tech. Those Yellow Tech ones, I actually have a code for everybody to use. If you want me to share that out, I will. If you go to Yellow Tech and you look specifically, oh, look, it says you're live. That's crazy. I just got a notification said you were live. No kidding. I'm talking to you.
I hope so.
It is. Oh, where's it at?
It's pretty accurate too. It's crazy. It's weird watching myself on 2 different screens.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Yellow Tech, if you use the coupon FUN, you get free shipping on anything. And Yellow Tech, what I would suggest you do is they have a little pack. Burley Fishing uses them when they're on the kayak and stuff. And basically, it's a battery pack that goes on underneath your GoPro. And so when you take off the door or whatever to do it, you can take, yes, the juice box. Thank you. Yeah. So you can use that. You can go in there. That juice box will actually charge everything. It's awesome. It is freaking amazing. I've seen it, and I've seen guys out on the tour that has it, or on the BFLs, and they're amazing because it also comes with a waterproof stuff. So if you take the door off, you know how it opens up on the 7?
Yeah.
Stick it in there. Well, you can put putty around it and it keeps it waterproof.
Nice.
So you can use it in the rain, snow, sleet. Because I know last year at Del Hollow, it was. I wish I would have had one.
The thing with that is, so if you get one battery, or that lasts that long, so essentially you just got to get multiple memory cards then.
So mine, so that's, and it depends on the person that you're looking at. What I like to do is I like to do mine looping.
Okay.
So whenever I go out on a date, it's all I have to look at is a minute of footage at a time. So my memory card, my 132 gig will last all day.
Okay.
And I have it looping. So what happens is it records 5 minutes, and then it replaces that 5 to 6 minute with that first minute. So I don't have to. In a lot of my videos, I don't have the full time to time. I just only have certain bits and pieces. Because when you hit the button, it records and it's on looping. So it does that 5 minute, whatever interval. Okay. And then you hit it again, it saves that 5 minute break. And then it starts over. So
I got to mess with the settings to see that.
So you can save. That's how I learned how to save a lot on the GoPro itself. Plus, having the battery pack keeps me charged.
So you can essentially tell it to save what I was recording, or you say, "Hey, forget that. I don't need that."
Yeah. So it basically if you just let it play, right? If you was doing a full thing, you would just let it play like normal, right, and record all of it.
Yeah.
Well, instead of doing that and having to go through all that footage, you can cut clips. That's the reason why if you look at some of the people that are on YouTube, you'll see them hit their GoPros. Basically, what they're doing is saving that little clip. They're saving from the time they threw out, the time they caught and showed you fish, and then they push the button, and then it goes in here. They could have been on there for 10, 15 hours, but you only see 20 minutes worth of footage.
Yep.
And then, you know, like when you're running down, if you're in a boat or a kayak or something like that, and you're running down the road or something like that, you see, like I've noticed that you can speed up the time where it shrinks it down. So instead of having a 3-minute travel time, I have 50 seconds.
Yep.
Or less than that, you know, like 30 seconds of travel time because we're cruising in a screaming eagle boat to get somewhere. So, but yeah, definitely Yellow Tech, man. Check them out because I think you do that and you start doing looping. And I would test it out. I would test the looping. If you like it, then do it. If not, that's at least you learn what looping is.
Yeah, I might bug you tomorrow a little bit to see because I might
the thing is you, let's say you're in looping mode and you hit the button, and we're sitting here, we're chatting, whatever. Oh, you catch a fish on, and you're like, oh yeah, it's such a look at that, it's like a 5-pounder. You're like, yeah, I catch these all day. Yeah, this dude in Ohio can't catch shit, you know, like whatever, joking around between buddies, right? And then all of a sudden you're like, and then you go right next to the thing and you forget to hit the button. Well, it just recorded over all that.
Yeah.
It just automatically records. So it gives you a 5-minute interval no matter what.
Okay.
So at that 6 minute, it goes in and replaces that first minute and it's
okay. So I get it. So it gives you, so you have like 5 minutes to hit the button.
Yeah. It stacks on top of each other. So basically it keeps it in that loop, in that 5-minute loop. Or you can set the timer actually in your settings, in your GoPro settings. You can set the timer, like mine's 5 minutes. You can set it up to 10 to 12 minutes or whatever.
Okay.
So, try that out and see what you think.
Definitely going to try that out. We're getting down the rabbit hole of how to be a YouTuber here. We're also 2 hours and 21 minutes in. It's almost 12 o'clock for me. I'm a little tired.
Well, guess what? It's almost 12 o'clock for me, too, because I'm in Ohio.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're Eastern, too. I'm getting a little tired, buddy.
You just – whatever. He's like, I want to be able to go fishing tomorrow.
That's it.
Yeah. But, yeah, definitely, man. I appreciate you guys. I thank you for letting me come on.
I appreciate you. I
had a good time. And, you know, and all these guys that, you know, in the chat or anything, always get a hold of me through Instagram. And then from there we talk. If you guys want any of the jigs, if you also want any more jigs there, Jermaine, let me know. And by all means, I'm always open to try new things. You got me out of that comfort zone. So
glad I could help, man. You know, I appreciate you being a real dude, and you know, you reached out to me the whole way. I appreciate that. A lot of people, you know, once again, your notes hanging on my refrigerator right here. You know, I appreciate you reaching out, being a good dude, and being a real dude. That goes a long way.
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, I'm always trained to catch those fish, man. Any way to help another person, that's another reason why I want to have that. The channel is to help other people fish and catch fish and learn from other people. So
that's it. That's why we do it all.
Yeah.
But we'll get you on again. You know, maybe
absolutely.
You know, I don't even mind having you on. Maybe we'll get you on as a little regular, you know, every other week or something.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm always game for unless I'm like I know like I said in November I have the 2-day tournament coming up down there in Alabama. I know Creeks and Trails reached out to me. I'll be hitting him up. I'll have to bring him some jigs when I go down there because he's actually in that area.
Okay.
So I'll have to I'll make some jigs up for him. But yeah, definitely, man. It's been real and it's been fun, but I can't say it's been real fun. So Hey, that'll stick with you too. Look at that.
I got you. You know, it'd be sick too. Right before we go here, maybe even a night after you get off the water on a tournament, to get your brain fresh off a tournament mind.
Oh, geez, you're gonna get me fried up, man. I'll be like fried.
Yeah.
I'll be so fried. I'm telling you, dude. It takes a lot of stress out of you.
I know.
And it's even better when it's not really stressful, but I think it's really great whenever you catch something and you go across that scale or you go across that stage and you're like, all right, I can do this. Like I was an ordinary person going, I can do this. And there's guys out on the tour say, hey, I started because of you. And I go, well, it doesn't take much. It just takes some knowledge and understanding what you want to do. So
that's it.
Anyway, yeah, I know I gotta get ready. I gotta go to work tomorrow. Unfortunately, you gotta go fishing, and I want you to catch some fish.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My man Jason, to everyone in the stream, thank you for being here, chilling with us tonight. We appreciate you. Next week, see you again.
All right, guys, take care. Out of here, deuces.